Welcome back to the Cutaway scene where the conversation stays uncut, unfiltered, and revealed. Listen, this week we are talking about something that everyone kind of deal with at least one point in their life, okay? You minding your business. And for some odd reason, somebody want to come on in and tell you some information you didn't ask for. Something messy, something wild, something about someone you know. Now, suddenly you're sitting there with information you didn't go looking for. And it's like once you hear it, you can't unhear it. Now, the real question is, what do you do with what you know? Let's talk about it. So, earlier this week, we had asked y'all, someone tells you something wild about someone you know. Do you speak up or stay out of it? Now, this one right here, this is a real life dilemma, okay? 50% was saying speak up. The other 50 was saying stay out of it. Because on one side, there are people who feel like if it is something serious, okay, it shouldn't stay serious. It shouldn't stay hidden. But on the other side, it's like there are people who feel like, okay, that's not my place. Has nothing to do with me. Right? Now, honestly, both of those sides are valid, okay? Because speaking up, yes, it can definitely create a whole situation. But staying quiet, it can feel like you're just letting something slide, okay? And that's when you realize sometimes the hardest position to be in is the one who knows something they weren't supposed to know. Let's get into some hot takes. So this week's Hot Take Wednesday's question was, when does staying out of it becomes enabling it? Because people love saying mind your business. But that's not it. The real question is what happens when minding your business let something continue, okay? Because sometimes staying quiet feels respectful, but other times it feels like you're kind of just turning a blind eye. I don't see anything, right? And somebody said something interesting in the replies. They said, people tell you things and then expect you to carry it like it's your responsibility. That's real. Because sometimes people tell you something not because you need to know, but because they didn't want to hold it alone anymore. It's like, I gotta tell somebody. Somebody needs to know. Let's get into some hot takes. All right, scenario 1. You hear something about someone you know. You didn't see it yourself, but the person telling you seems serious. Now you're sitting there wondering, do I say something or do I stay out of it and keep my distance from the situation? Because once you say something, you might start something bigger than you really expect it to be. But if you stay quiet, you might be letting something continue. Listen, my hot take on that is that personally, I feel like, I've been in a scenario like this. And I've been in a scenario where I realized when I did speak up, I somehow ended up being the problem. I came here to mediate. I came here to say, hey, y'all chill. And then I'm the villain. Whoa. It's like I tried to be the hero in some stories and then somehow I'm the villain in others. How did I get here? It's like I ended up being the common enemy. Shout out to those connections that thrive off of me because I'm the bad guy. You're welcome. All right, scenario 2. You decide to stay out of it completely. Okay, you don't repeat it, you don't bring it up, you just mind your business. But later, the truth comes out. Now people are asking you questions like, wait, you knew about it. You didn't say nothing, but you knew about it. And suddenly staying quiet doesn't feel as neutral as it did before. My hot take on that is that honestly, you can't control another person and what they do, right? Okay. And I say this respectfully, like, would it even change if I was to say something sooner? That might rub somebody the wrong way. Hey, but we being real, right? Okay. I just feel like if I wouldn't be affected by it, I mean, I know I shouldn't like dictate how someone should feel about information that's received about them. But I just feel like if it's some he say, she say, that's just background noise, okay? That's for the birds, okay? It's like either people don't care or they're just not thinking about it, okay? People got so much going on in their personal lives to be caught up on some hearsay. You know what I'm saying? It's like, if I had $1 for every time something was said about me, I would probably own my city by now, okay? People talk, but it only hurts if you actually give a care. Let that sink in. No, but real talk. One thing I have realized is that information has weight, okay? Even when it's not yours. All right, because once something reaches you, you're connected to it, whether you ask for it or not. And the tricky part is, people rarely share things without expecting something in return. Okay, sometimes they expect you to keep quiet. Sometimes they expect you to repeat it. And sometimes they just want someone else to carry the burden of knowing. So yeah, that was this week's conversation. Word gets around, all right? Because sometimes the hardest position to be in isn't the person involved. It's the person who knows something that they weren't supposed to know, okay? Now make sure you follow the Cutaway Scene on Instagram to vote in the weekly polls and join the conversation. Listen, subscribe, like on YouTube where the new episodes drop every Friday at 7 p.m. Anyways, that's a wrap, and this is the Cutaway Scenes. Bye!